Hi, I'm Zach Smith, and today I will be presenting the paper Extensive Security Verification of LoRaWAN Key Establishment, Insecurities and Patches. This work was a collaboration with Steve Wesemeyer, Ioana Boureanu and Helen Treharne at the University of Surrey in the UK. I worked on this paper while working on my PhD at the University of Luxembourg, now employed at GEMIC Luxembourg. In this presentation, I will start by introducing the LoRaWAN protocol suite, and in particular, the key establishment protocol known as the Join Procedure. Then, we'll look at some of the details that went into our threat models and analysis. Finally, we'll discuss some of our results and our ongoing interaction with the LoRa Alliance. The LoRaWAN specification, short for Low Range, Wide Area Networks, is used by over 80 million Internet of Things devices. It handles communication between an IoT device and a remote application server. The specification is maintained by the LoRa Alliance, a collaboration of over 500 organizations. The LoRa specification contains several protocols, which cover a range of different situations and use cases. Our research examines the over-the-air activation method, known as the Join Procedure. The join is run when a new end device registers with an application server for the first time. In order to do this, it performs a key exchange using a shared secret that's hard-coded onto the device when it's created. The focus of our work is version 1.1 of the specification, which was released in October 2017. However, as many devices still run version 1.0 of the protocol, it was important to us to include it in our investigation. In both cases, we found that the existing formal analysis for the protocol had room for improvement. You can see here an overview of the LoRa 1.02 joint procedure, and here the LoRa 1.1 joint procedure. Although the aim of the join procedure is to negotiate an encryption key for use with an application server, the server is surprisingly not active during the exchange. Instead, a separate join server is used, and the resulting key is later transmitted to the application server. In addition, a network server acts as a proxy throughout the entire communication process. Let's discuss now some of the details that went into our modeling strategy. Security modeling of proxied key exchange protocols is known to be particularly troublesome due to the complexity of handling messages being sent between multiple agents and through a proxy. However, we were determined in our analysis to be as faithful as possible to the specification. This presented several challenges. Firstly, the specification leaves several choices to the implementer. This could be intentional, or sometimes it's the result of ambiguities in the text. Most notably, while the channel between the end device and the network server is assumed to be insecure, the nature of the channel between the network server and the other servers is unspecified, and notably it is not explicitly required to be secure. Traditionally, it's been assumed that these two agents would be co-located, but the increasing availability of different deployment options weakens this assumption. Next, two options for how the application server is served the final application layer encryption key are presented. In one approach, the key is encrypted with a secret known only by the join and application servers, and the end device is forwarded this encrypted key to include in their first application level message. In another approach, the end device is instead given only a session identifier, and the application server uses this to retrieve the associated key from the join server over a secure channel. Finally, it's not clear how the application server handles failure if the encryption key it receives does not match the encrypted data packet sent by the end device. In particular, this can lead to agents having different views of the result of the protocol. To handle these different possibilities, we constructed a set of extensive Tamarin models, 12 of them in total, to analyze the security of the LoRa 1.1 join procedure. We've split these models into three main threat models, which we named Secure, LoRa Spec, and Weak Corrupt, which represents the different levels of trust placed in the channels attached to the network server. Similarly, we created distinctions based on how the application server handles desynchronization and the key delivery method. We also modeled a set of standard security goals, such as key secrecy, weak agreement, and synchronization. Due to the proxied nature of our key exchange, we defined a set of confusion freeness goals, the violation of which necessarily entails an attack on agreement. Intuitively, confusion freeness goals specify that an application server can never be tricked into mixing up the messages from two different end devices, even if the network and join servers have seen or sent elements of these messages correctly. In order to ensure the faithfulness of our models to the specification, we included explicit references to it and included details such as the use of multiple different root keys in our model. You can see a code snippet from our Tamarin implementation here. For LoRa 1.0, we developed an implementation that faithfully models the consequences of using a nonce domain of limited size. The level of detail on our models necessitated advanced proving techniques in order for analysis to terminate. We designed several bespoke Tamarin oracles to aid in analysis, as well as using some complexity-reducing strategies. Let's look at our results now. Our analysis identified novel attacks on several variants of the 1.1 version of the Join protocol, including those which most closely followed the security assumptions of the original specification. These attacks allow an adversary to trick an application server into having an incorrect view of the encryption keys in use. As a result, it falsely believes it is talking to one end device, when in fact it's talking to another. The Tamarin output can be manually reconstructed into a trace, which demonstrates this attack. As well as achieving results directly through the output of the Tamarin tool, we're also able to deduce the existence of attacks on some variants of the protocol by considering the relationships between both our threat models and our security goals. This way, even in cases where Tamarin fails to terminate, we can infer the existence or lack of an attack. For the 1.0 version of the protocol, we produced the first automated proof of a previously known attack caused by a counter overflow. This attack allows an adversary to coerce a session into reusing a previously used key. This in turn enables several cryptographic level attacks produced as a result of using the same symmetric encryption key and initialization vector over multiple sessions. We proposed an amended version of the LoRa over-the-air activation join procedure in order to overcome the identified vulnerabilities. The main changes which we propose are to include the application server directly in the join procedure, so that it can contribute its own randomness, and the addition of a key confirmation round to the protocol, which is used to ensure key agreement before any potentially sensitive data packets are sent. You can see our message sequence chart for our proposed protocol here. As with the 1.0 and 1.1 versions of the join procedure, we constructed a set of Tamarin models of our proposed solution, and we proved that it satisfies all of our security goals, even in our strongest adversary model. We presented our results to the LoRa Alliance as part of the responsible disclosure process. They've acknowledged our observations, which arise from further ambiguities in the specification. We are now working with the security working group in order to enhance our models, as well as giving feedback on the specification as it is developed. As a result of this collaboration, we've uncovered several inconsistencies in the LoRa 1.1 specification, arising from the separation of the network server and join server roles in the update from LoRa 1.02 to LoRa 1.1. We are now aiding and updating the specification to remove such issues. We will continue to update our models to reflect the changes made in the specification as a result of this ongoing interaction with the LoRa Alliance. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me,